This is Commissioner Bell. Today is Tuesday, June 23rd, 2026, and we'll call this meeting to order at 8 a.m. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to mute your phones. You can do this by pressing star 6. Please unmute yourself when called to speak, again pressing star 6. It's very important for all others to remain muted. Well, welcome to the Board of Commissioners. I know Commissioner Scar is not with us this morning, so I'll shout out to Commissioner Fournier. Good morning. It's possible he's not returned from his trip yet. So we will move on to Adventist Health Tillamook and President Eric Swanson.
Good morning, Commissioner. I have 13 patients in the hospital today, plus one brand new baby, 4 surgery cases yesterday. Yesterday, ambulance crews did 891 transports, 2 transfers, no transports home. Boarding and discharge delays, that data has not been updated since end of April, so I'm not going to give you any old data. A couple exciting things I want to tell you about. Many of you remember Amy Miller, or know Amy Miller, who worked here she was in medical records, was the medical records director, did compliance work, went to the corporate office to do work in compliance. In any event, Amy has worked for Adventist Health for a total of 33 years, and she is retiring today. So from 1 to 3 in the boardroom on the 3rd floor, we're going to have a little retirement celebration for Amy. So if you know Amy and you want to stop by, you're more than welcome. Again, it's 3rd floor from 1 to 3 today. I also want to remind the community about Ryan Stevenson's concert, which is Thursday night at 7 p.m. at the Seventh-day Adventist Church here in Tillamook. We sponsor Ryan's concert. I think this is the 3rd time that he has been here. He's a contemporary Christian artist, Grammy-nominated and Dove Award-winning artist. He's got lots of Stevenson family in Tillamook County. Gary Stevenson, our executive chef, is his uncle. And if you are looking just for a good evening of amazing music and a great message, Ryan's ministry is amazing. And we'd love to have you come out. It's free. Doors open at 6:30. You'll want to be there early because it's usually packed. So we look forward to seeing Ryan on Thursday at the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Last thing I want to share with you is we're busy recruiting new physicians and other providers for Tillamook County. And we have a general surgeon who's signed a contract with us, and he actually bought a house and moved in last week. So he has been looking to live and work in Tillamook for a long time. And he tried about 10 years ago to come work for us, and we didn't have an opening. So now he is finally here in Tillamook, and as soon as we get him through the credentialing process, he can start practicing, and we can start sharing with the community his name and face and all that good stuff. So we're very excited about him starting here in probably the next 30 days. We also have contracts out to 2 physicians who practice family medicine with OB, and that means that they do deliveries and they do C-sections, and so that will be a great complement to our current OB program to have 2 additional providers here. Both of them are very interested in being in Tillamook. One of them that we met with a couple weeks ago, I asked him what he knew about Tillamook, and he told me he knows everything about Tillamook because he vacations here. And he thinks Tillamook is a big city compared to where he comes from. And he's got a 5-year-old that he wants to raise in a great community, and I think he picked the right one. So we're looking forward to sharing more with you about those 2 once they become signed contracts and become credentialed. We also have a PA that will be starting for us. He did his internship here, and he'll be practicing family medicine at the Plaza. He's bilingual, speaks fluent Spanish, and we're very excited about him starting as well. And then we've got like 5 more in the pipeline with our recruiting firm that will be coming to do site visits in Tillamook. So we're really excited about some of the progress that's being made in our provider and physician recruitment. So With that, I will go back on mute, and I hope to see all of you at Ryan Stevenson concert on Thursday night at the Adventist Church.
Thank you very much, Eric. That is a lot of good news. Congratulations on all those successful recruitments. That's really exciting.
Yeah, that is very exciting. It's
And
really
congratulations.
tough. Go ahead.
Oh, that wasn't me. That's somebody else jumping in there.
Okay. Yep. So thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that. We're looking forward to filling the open holes we have in our family medicine program, especially. So more to come on that.
Wonderful. And congratulations to Amy Miller on her retirement. I do remember Amy fondly. She was just lovely to work with. She's a wonderful human being, and I'm happy for her that she can retire.
Yes, I will pass on your greetings to her today. Thanks.
And thanks finally for letting us know about the concert, because I had seen it advertised, but I didn't know what kind of music it was. So thanks for talking about that. That sounds like a wonderful opportunity for Tillamook on Thursday night.
Yep. We're glad to have Ryan here.
Okay, with that, let's move on to the Coastal Caucus. We'll check in and see if we have members of the Coastal Caucus here. Rep. Javity, do we have you with us this morning?
Good morning, Commissioners. I am here. It's good to be here.
Good morning.
We're back from.
Good to hear your voice.
Good morning. Thank you. We're back from legislative days, which was last week on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. They once quarter summon us back to the Capitol, where we meet in our committees. The Senate does confirmations. We meet with lobbyists, constituents. It's a busy 3 days. We met in the committees of behavioral health as well as healthcare, which is where I'm assigned. Most of the time was spent on getting ready for some of the implementations that are about to come by the end of the year that will affect healthcare, mainly around Medicaid. Up on the top of the list of priorities is what changes will be made to healthcare services that Medicaid offers. And remember, the reason for that is that because of changes implemented with House Resolution 1, which is sometimes people refer to as the Big Beautiful Bill, from last July 4th, almost a year ago, the number of people who qualify for Medicaid will decrease by a couple 100,000 in Oregon. Oregon is unique. Oregon has 1.4 million people who are enrolled in the Medicaid program. Now, it's not because there's more people in Oregon that qualify than other states. It's because Oregon and a few other states, when about 10 years ago, when Congress wanted to include more people, incentivize more people to be a part of the Medicaid program, they offered an incentive to states that they would pay more towards the health care for people who qualified than they had been prior to 2017. So Oregon and several other states really put the machine into overdrive and went out and just did a lot of outreach, and were able to put into place systems like the CCOs and others, and got people enrolled so that everybody had some type of insurance. Almost 98% of people in Oregon are insured through some type of health insurance, whether it's Medicaid or whether it's a plan through a big employer like Nike. We call those the self-insured plans because the employers pay for almost all the costs themselves. Or it could be an individual plan or a small group plan like small businesses and Tillamook might offer to the small group of employees. It could be Medicaid, it could be Medicare. So almost everybody has a plan, and it's been a very big help to rural healthcare, especially in Oregon, where so much of our state is rural, and especially here on the North Coast. And we've talked about before how on this call, 60% of children in our community on the North Coast are enrolled in Medicaid, and just under 40% of our adults are. So it's a huge chunk of the health insured in our communities, and our hospitals. A large part of the revenues that they receive come from Medicaid and Medicare, and it's what helps keeps the lights on because our commercial insurance, the other types of insurance offered in Oregon, we are not as big a chunk of the pie in our community as they are in, say, like the metro area. So it's a mix of those different insurance plans that really keep our healthcare available to us on the coast. Well, one of those big ones, like I said, is Medicaid, and like I also said, it's on that. It's going to be decreased because we're going to lose about 200,000 enrollees through some of the new work requirements, as well as qualification requirements that were implemented in HR 1. And so we'll see a decrease there, but we'll also see a decrease just in the amount of money that's available through some different mechanisms. And that's put the legislature in a spot where we are spending a lot of energy to figure out what can we do, because there's really only three levers that are available to legislatures across the country on how to deal with this problem. One is to decrease the number of people enrolled. Well, the problem with decreasing the number of people enrolled is that they still need health care, but now they have no insurance. And so they either don't get the health care they need, which makes them sicker, makes them miss work or miss school, or they go and they just are not as productive. Two, if they do need to go, they end up in the emergency rooms where the cost of care is much more expensive. They then have to pay that out of pocket with resources they generally don't have since they qualify for Medicaid, or the hospital has to eat the cost. Well, I mean, the hospital will provide the treatment, and if they're not reimbursed, the hospital eats the cost, which becomes a financial problem for our hospitals. And so decreasing enrollees creates a whole new problem, so it doesn't really solve it. The second way we could do it is to reduce the rates that Medicaid pays providers. Now, Medicaid does not pay providers the same way that commercial insurance or cash patient pays. So for any specific service, say you're going to get a root canal, you may get paid, the Medicaid may pay the doctor, instead of his full fee, he may pay the doctor 25% or 30% of her full fee. So the fees are already lower. If we cut the rates even more, that means that less providers will be able to accept Medicaid. And right now, one of the challenges Oregon faces is, although we have 1.4 million people enrolled in Medicaid, we don't have enough providers to adequately take care of everybody who needs it, whether it's dental or chiropractic or general medicine, et cetera. So reducing the rates means we'll have less providers who are willing to participate, which means less healthcare is available, longer wait times, et cetera. You get the picture. The third way that we can change things is to just decrease what services are available. So right now, when you go to the doctor or the dentist or any other healthcare provider, generally there's a full suite of benefits that you can choose from. You got a toothache, you might be able to get a root canal or get the tooth pulled. But if we reduce services, it might be things like, well, we aren't going to cover root canals anymore, but we will cover removing teeth. So now somebody who needs a treatment that will help them with their problem may only have one option instead of multiple. And the same thing will apply to medicine and to other services. Maybe chiropractor services will be decreased, the number of visits, or behavioral health and mental health services might be decreased. And so we really don't have a ton of options. The fourth option, which we'd all love, would be find more money to make sure we can cover the services that are available and for everybody who needs them. And at this moment, that option doesn't seem to be possible. So we spent last week just talking about what the impacts are going to be and what services might need to be pared back. My feeling is that it's going to be a combination of reducing rates for some services and reducing and not having other services available. We're going to try to keep everybody enrolled so that if in a crisis or in an unfavorable diagnosis like cancer, et cetera, people can still get the treatment they need until hopefully one day we're able to right the ship and continue to provide what is across the country one of the best Medicaid programs in the country here in Oregon. Another issue that's kind of tangentially related, but also in healthcare, is that this isn't part of HR 1, but one of the things last year that led to a shutdown or a government shutdown in the fall, if you remember, In October was a fight between the Democrats and the Republicans over tax credits for health insurance plans. Now, this is important for really two big reasons. The first reason is that, well, before I tell you the two reasons, and what these are is that when the Affordable Care Act was passed way back when in 2011, part of that plan was that the federal government knew that not everybody would be able to afford insurance, even if it was less expensive. And so they said for people who make less than 400% of the federal poverty level, and for context, if you're a single person, that's about $30,000 a year. If you're a family of four, that could be as high as $85,000 a year, right? So there's a wide range of people who could qualify for assistance. And so you would go and you'd get your insurance plan and you'd see the premium. And because it was still pretty expensive, the federal government said, we know it's expensive. We're going to help offset the cost of these. We're going to provide tax credits to lower these premiums down and to a level that people could afford. And so they did, and premiums dropped much lower than they would have been otherwise, albeit still more expensive than they had been prior to that. Well, that expired at the end of 2027, despite the battle going on in Washington, D.C., between the two sides of the Republicans and the Democrats. And as a result, premiums started to increase, sometimes by a lot on average. They increased 92%. Some increased as high as 1,500 to 3,000%. That means that people's premiums went up 3 to 4 times what they were. And for context there, for a single person in their 20s, their premium probably went up about $275 to $300 a month, which is a lot. But for a couple in their 60s who aren't quite ready for Medicare, their premium may have increased by $25,000 to $30,000 a year, which is huge, right? Nobody would like to see that kind of a bill. Well, because people couldn't afford these premiums, we've seen a mass exodus from the individual insurance market. These are people that were insured that aren't going to be insured, are no longer insured. And generally, the people who decided to get out because they couldn't afford it, are the ones who didn't anticipate that they were going to need health insurance. That left a smaller and smaller pool of people who are insured, but the pool that was left are the people, we call them higher risk, because they were the people who were more likely to or were needing health insurance. Well, since they still needed it, but now there were less people paying in, the same amount of money to pay for people who needed to use healthcare remained the same. So that basically the expenses stayed the same, but the amount of money to pay for it went down. And since the federal government wasn't going to pay, that meant more of the burden fell on the people who remained in the pool. And now making their premiums more expensive, that caused more people to drop out, leaving a smaller pool with higher expenses that meant higher premiums, even higher than they were before. So they dropped out. So we're in kind of a death spiral of people who are remaining insured, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any better. The problem that has led to, the second reason, is that insurers who have to meet federal and state requirements on how much reserves they have to pay for claims is getting smaller and smaller, and they're dropping out. So they're offering less insurance. So we're watching at the same time that Medicaid is forcing to cut back. We're watching people who don't qualify for Medicaid but do qualify for regular insurance also drop out, leaving more uninsured, which is causing a huge potential problem and strain on our healthcare system for our rural hospitals as well as for people who need that healthcare. And so far, because of budget issues at the state, because of less revenues coming in and less money from the government, we are not sure how to pay for. So a lot of focus and energy, and I'm not quite panicked, but definitely deep concern, grave concern for how we're going to deal with the problem exists and continues to consume a lot of time and energy. We're hoping for a report from the governor in the next week or two from a task force she put together on what they're suggesting might be some options. But that was generally the conversation that we had last week in Salem around the healthcare system in Oregon, which I know is a concern for a lot of people. So I just wanted to take a few minutes today to touch on that. Aside from healthcare, the last little thing is we are following an issue right now up on the Columbia River regarding fishing, which they're going to cut back on the amount of fish that can be fished. We're going to be getting an update today. I don't know all the details, and so that's a pretty vague, high level, and could be possibly inaccurate. And I'll have an update as soon as I've heard the update from the fisheries, et cetera, this today, but something we're tracking there. And of course, some of the other issues, which I won't take up today for the call. There are a lot of moving parts, but I'll keep everyone abreast and hopefully have maybe some better news next week on our call.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative, for talking about healthcare. Thank you for being gravely concerned about the healthcare of Oregonians and of your constituents here. I'm also concerned about it. I think a lot of people are, about the people who stand to lose their healthcare or have already lost their healthcare. In the latter topic you covered, I was thinking about a local couple whom many of us know, but I won't name, who had marketplace healthcare that was $220 a month that went up to over $2,000 a month, and the jump from 200 to 2,000 was not sustainable. So those folks, exactly like you described, are probably in their 50s and not eligible for Medicare and won't be for some time, and yet truly need insurance. And they, they were paying for marketplace insurance for a long time, and I don't think they qualify for Medicare, Medicaid rather. So yeah, we're creating bigger holes in the safety net, or eliminating the safety net altogether for some people who are just falling through, and it's tragic. And so I appreciate your work on that, and that a lot of people are deeply concerned about it.
Well, you've echoed it precisely. The concern, I know it's for a lot of people, especially the ones who are ill or who have chronic illnesses or who know they may need it. For them, it's terrifying, and it can't be overstated enough how important it is for the state, and not just the Medicaid program, but every part of the health insurance program in the state of Oregon to it's fragile at the moment, and it is for a lot of states around the country. I think every state, honestly, and so it's something that states are talking to each other about, but there doesn't seem to be an immediate solution at all. People are talking about universal health care as a potential fix, and so that's going to continue to get some more oxygen. We'll see what the political motivations and energy are in the moment as we kind of continue to walk towards this kind of healthcare cliff that's in front of us. For now, of course, we have our hospitals. That's good news. We heard great news from President Swanson this morning about how we're hiring providers, and that's happening at other hospitals in the community. And so we want to continue to see that forward progress in March, and we'll do whatever we can to support them so that when we need it, whether it's a car accident or diabetes or heart attack or dental care, whatever, we have those resources here on the coast, and not, and we don't all end up having to drive 2 hours over the hill to receive health care on a regular basis. But we'll keep on it, and we have some of the smartest people in the country and in the state working on trying to solve this issue, and appreciate the hard work of all of our healthcare providers here in the community that we're asking to do more with less, and to the people who support them and are patient and are trying their best to solve this problem. So we have a good community. We'll keep it that way.
Thank you. Thanks for being with us. Great to hear from you. And I will check in now and see if we have Senator Weber with us on the call.
Yes, you do. Good morning. I was a little late this morning.
Good morning.
Martin and I had to sprint around the block because we had things we had to do here, like water the garden because we need the peas to grow. So anyway, I want to congratulate you, Commissioner Bell and Commissioner Scar, on being the new appointees to getting the Senate confirmation for the governor's committees. You are both going to do very well in those positions. And then I also was going to address the loss of BPA funding of the Columbia River and the termination of the SAFE program, which is the Select Area Fisheries Enhancement on the Lower Columbia. And that program is scheduled to have closure in September of this year. and it's going to create major consequences for fishing and fisheries. ODFW is especially concerned about what's going to happen in Clatsop County, and there is an update this morning at 10 a.m. So we'll have more information for you on the fate of that program and our fish and fisheries after that. So, pay attention to that. I had a busy week last week with Ledge Week. Started Monday with the Joint Committee on Conduct, and that is a very important part of civility in the Capitol, and it is an avenue where if people feel that they are not being treated equitably or are harassed or in any way shown unfavorable behavior, they have a way to register their complaints and have the conduct committee address them. And this has been in effect for several years, and it has resulted in several legislators being asked to leave or censured in the process. And there are going to be some changes that are going to be made to make it even more equitable. And I know that's a buzzword, equitable, but the way we treat people is important. And we have to acknowledge that. And so that there will be changes made in the long session. There are people that are working on that right now as we speak to make that more workable. I've been in some hearings where I haven't felt that we had choices when we were making decisions about consequences. And I think that this pointed out the fact that we need, as a legislative body, to be more aware of how we treat people. And so that's how I started out the week, and the Hunger Task Force, looking at the potential of additional legislation going forward. This is an important group that looks at Feeding Oregon and our avenues for Feeding Oregon and the supplies of food coming forward, which I really want to acknowledge Max Sherman. And, that man grows so many vegetables and raises so many turkeys and meat. And meat especially is something that our food banks are desperately in need of. But if you look at how many vegetables that man has contributed, especially to South County and their food distribution centers, it's fantastic. He needs to have kudos, whether he's running for office or not, for what he has been doing for years for the thousands of pounds of food that he has been donating. Then, I spent Tuesday from 7:30 on with the Coastal Caucus and issues that are pertaining to our area, and discussing the Coastal Caucus Economic Summit that will be coming up at the end of October. And this year it's going to be in Seaside. For the past several years, it's been in the South Coast. Last year it was in Coos Bay. This year it's going to be in Seaside. And I think that is a great opportunity to especially highlight what we have on the North Oregon coast and to work to really bring everything that we have forward. Speaking of economic development, one of the things that I was also involved in was the ceremonial signing of some bills, and had a nice conversation with the governor of the epinephrine bill that Senator Wagner and I, Senate Bill 1504, worked together on, was signed. And, that was a concept that was brought forward by one of Senator Wagner's constituents, and it deals with the delivery of epinephrine. In the bill that allows the delivery of epinephrine, especially in schools, it was only in shot form, and that, because of scientific developments, there are other ways that are probably easier and better to deliver epinephrine. And so this bill realizes that you can not only give it in a shot, but you can do it sublingually, under the tongue, or nasally, and that can, enhance the deliverability of epinephrine. And the bill also made it so that as other scientific advancements are made available, that we can also use those in our schools and in our public places. Then I spent a lot of time talking about transportation, the Senate Transportation Committee, looking at, and then the Oversight Committee. So I spent about 6 hours in committees talking about transportation, advocating for our roads. What I heard is something that's probably not going to result in any kind of epic changes in our Highway 6, 26, 101, or 30, 18, 22, all of those highways as of yet, because we're not looking at basic plans. But what we're looking at is the fact that we have diminished resources, especially for asphalt people to be able to go in and repave. And I'm sure you'll notice as you go throughout the state, something that was really brought home to me with all the time that I spent on the roads this week was how we're patching our roads. We're doing partial lanes. We're digging up places, and we've got sunken grades, and we're just doing a patch rather than looking at the whole road. And hopefully the transportation group that the governor has put together is going to come up with some ideas for how we can address those situations. One of the other presentations that we had was on all of the missteps and failures going back several years for ODOT, especially regarding how ODOT has approached some of these projects, and we've looked at how they have just blown up as far as how much they cost from the beginning estimates. And it was a very eye-opening. Of course, we knew all these things were happening. We've watched them. We drive on the roads. But we have to be able to look at preserving those roads. And we have to look beyond the projects from 2017 and look at a broader scope of what's happening in transportation throughout our state. I want to give kudos, though, to the new guardrails up Highway 6. I had no idea that they were in such bad shape, but it sure became obvious as they started replacing them. So thank you for that. In other news, we have been able to maintain the 900 research buoys that are going to remain in place on the coast. You know that it was they were set to be removed, but because of all of the information that they provide the scientific community and our basic community for our weather, they are going to remain in place. You know, they are bellwethers of our ocean conditions, of our weather, of our fish, and they are a necessary part of our coastal area. And so they are going to remain in position. And I think that if you get the Oregonian, you will see that that was even addressed last week on the front page. So that's a good thing. We've got the June Dairy Parade coming up. It's going, I hope that the rain will abate during the couple hours that we have the parade, and that everyone will be able to get out and enjoy our dairy month and our dairy parade. And with that, I think I will stop. Thank you for allowing me to do this.
Thank you, Senator. Always a delight to have you with us. Thanks for all the things you talked about. And I'm particularly interested in the Ocean Observatory Initiative that was under threat, that was planned to be removed and now will not be removed. That's such an important topic. I think a lot of people didn't even know that there was this very sophisticated science network of equipment in the ocean that from the whole West Coast, not just Oregon, that helps our fisheries. It informs our science. It's important for weather. It's important in so many ways. And it just seemed like, I don't know how this played out in Washington, but the first time I read about it, it just seemed like somebody sitting in an office somewhere who had no idea what they were doing with a red pen saying, oh, let's cut that. And so it was crazy to me that they were talking about cutting it so abruptly. And I'm so very grateful to our legislators and everybody who worked on getting that restored. It's just, it's very important. And I was deeply relieved when it was restored.
The Coastal Caucus took a stand immediately and was very vocal and vociferous about that. And I think that definitely helped change the tide as to what was going to happen. And so it was an example of Republicans and Democrats working together to make sure that our area is secure.
Thank you. Yeah, so important. And one of those things that I think just a lot of people don't know about, but it contributes to all kinds of meaningful work that's important to us. We're just often not aware of the things that are happening that are really very important.
You're absolutely right.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Senator. I appreciate you being with us.
Thank you.
Let's move on now to Tillamook County Health Department and Camille Sorensen.
Good morning. Lots of great information being shared today. We too, as you could probably expect, are closely watching and waiting to hear updates and changes on the Medicare, Medicaid issues and coverage. We are also working on some recruitments, but nothing to announce right now, hopefully soon. We are sharing some safety tips during National Safety Month. Earlier, we shared tips about water safety, and today we want to share some tips about outdoor food safety, since many of us enjoy cookouts and camping at this time of year. First of all, make sure to wash your hands, utensils, and surfaces with soap and water. Use hand sanitizer at picnics if possible, and make sure to rinse your produce before consuming as well. Separate plates, utensils, and cutting boards used for produce, cooked meat and poultry, and raw meat and poultry. Do not cross-contaminate. Keep your raw and prepared perishable food items in a cooler or store with ice to keep it cool. Keep hot foods in a crock pot or serve smaller portions more frequently to keep items warm. And when in doubt, throw it out. Avoid eating food that's been left out longer than an hour, especially if it's in a warm room or on a warm, sunny day, to avoid the possibility of food poisoning, which can ruin anybody's day. Following these few smart safety tips can help keep you and your family healthy this summer. And in just a few weeks, Dr. Westrom and Dove Rainbow will begin seeing dermatology patients at our Main Street Clinic location. You can call 842-3900 to make an appointment, with availability starting July 15th through October 21st. Don't wait to get on the schedule. Call soon. That number again is 503-842-3900. And finally, Tillamook County Community Health Center offices and clinics will be closed next Friday, July 3rd, in recognition of Independence Day. And we wish everyone a safe and happy holiday weekend. That is all I have today.
Thank you, Camille. Thank you. Let's move on to Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy and Gail Nelson.
Yes, good morning.
Good
We
morning.
have some announcements today. First of all, a reminder that our pharmacy department and services will be closed this Friday to allow workers to take care of some reconstruction activities. The health center will be open, but the pharmacy will be closed. And speaking of healthcare, I'm participating in a work group led by Commissioner Scar, along with Adventist, the CCO, Columbia Pacific, Tillamook Family Counseling Center, and Tillamook County Community Health Center. The purpose of the work group is to determine how healthcare providers in Tillamook County can coordinate an organized response to HR1, especially related to medical frailty, work requirements, and redetermination. There have been 2 meetings to date, and we are currently in the process of analyzing our current Medicaid population data. And a couple more things. We're adding a new family nurse practitioner later in July to our staff. And as you know already, acupuncture will continue. We're in the process of credentialing our provider with insurance companies. And that's it for me, unless there are questions.
Thank you, Gail. Thanks for talking about that work group. We'll be interested to hear updates over time as the group comes up with hopefully ways to address the issues. So thanks for mentioning that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Let's move on now to Tillamook Family Counseling Center and Amanda Bunker.
Hello, everyone. I would also echo the importance of the work group that Commissioner Scar has kind of championed and brought us all together to talk about HR1 and the impacts of that will be in our community. So I also look forward to seeing some more data. We talk about it in hypotheticals because we don't actually have a lot of detailed information as to what this will entail. But once we start getting some data, I think we will really have a more robust conversation about how to attack this and how best to help our community and our clients and members to remain covered. So that's beside the point of what I was going to discuss today, but I also echo the sentiments that it's been an amazing opportunity to get together and talk about HR1 and the impacts for Tillamook County in particular. What I was going to discuss was I received our Mobile Crisis Intervention Services report for 2025. And so I just wanted to give a couple of highlights from that report. And for those who are not familiar with our mobile crisis team, that team is available to anyone or any individual or anyone who sees or is experiencing a mental health crisis, and we go to them. So it is a really amazing team that we have where they will respond to anywhere in the county that someone is experiencing a mental health crisis. And so for 2025, there was 119 dispatches of that team. 23% of those dispatches were repeat clients. So about a quarter of those individuals we saw on multiple occasions. The interesting thing that we were kind of an outlier on was 68% of those dispatches were requested by law enforcement, which is a good thing that they are calling us. The state average was 18%, so almost 50% more dispatches by law enforcement in our community than the state. But again, we really want to be good community partners. Law enforcement has been such a big supporter of ours, and we are of them. And so it's just an interesting statistic to share. For the dispatch locations, so where we went to serve our clients, 59% of those were in the community. So that's a residence, school, a public setting, and 41% of those were in the jail, hospital, or clinic. So you can see that nearly 60% of the time we're literally just out in the broad community, serving members, going to their homes, meeting them where they are. And finally, so what happens to those folks, right? So we go and serve, and we go ensure they're stable and in a good place, or proceed with what we need to do to keep themselves and the community safe. So of those 119, 98% we were able to fully engage the client, and 99% of the time after the conclusion of that crisis, we were able to follow up with them and provide services and have conversations with those members. So I just wanted to highlight that team, what an amazing job they are doing. Sometimes I think folks don't know that we are Tillamook Family Counseling, but we do so many more services and so much more outreach into the community than I think folks often know about. And so anyway, that's my report, and I just wanted to share our numbers for 2025.
Thank you, Amanda. And thanks for talking about that important and excellent work that TFCC does. And you're right, I agree. I think a lot of times people don't know what all Tillamook Family Counseling Center does in addition to counseling. And, but for every person in crisis, there is often a response, a professional response, and that response generally comes from your office. So I think it's really important to talk about that the hospital isn't designed to deal with people in mental health crisis, the jail, et cetera. Like the whole community of service has to come together in order to help people, and your organization leads those responses. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Do we have Randy Thorpe with us from Emergency Management?
You bet, Commissioner Bell. I am here today. So anyway, good morning. It's a little foggy, but it's still a great day. Just a little bit about some summer safety and preparedness reminder for us. We're welcoming summer here, and of course, the many visitors that enjoy the wonderful Tillamook County beaches and the rivers and our communities here. So let's think a little bit about preparedness. The first thing is make sure, you check on the weather, especially the tides if you're going to be down on the beach, and any type of road conditions, especially with the construction going on. Just it's good to be aware of what's going on there. And always, carry some water with you and sunscreen. You may not think that you need sunscreen, but even on partly cloudy days, sunscreen is very important. And also have those basic emergency supplies. And also very important, if you're going to be out and about kind of in the off-road back areas, just make sure you let someone know of your plans, because when you don't show up back on time, then someone will know that maybe something's wrong, and we can send someone out to try to find you and help you. So, and especially now we're moving into the summer, just be aware of wildfire risk and be extremely careful with any types of fires that you may have out there, and definitely check and follow all the fire restrictions that may be in place, whether it be up on the forest or within your own community. And just make sure you always sign up for those emergency alerts, because they're a good way to keep on top of extreme type weather behavior, and also any type of emergencies that could befall us out there. And of course, here on the coastal, we'll just keep talking about it. Just understand the tsunami evacuation routes and the signage that is out there. So just be aware of where the high ground is. So just do a little bit of preparation and definitely enjoy the summer, and just make sure that we keep Tillamook County safe. And with that, I will turn it back to you, Commissioner Bell.
Thank you, Randy. I appreciate your safety reminders to folks. It seems like every year the visitors encounter some kind of danger or trouble, and occasionally, sadly, it's fatal. So I appreciate those reminders always, not only for our community, but also for our visitors.
You bet.
So I will jump into yeah, thank you. In the absence of my fellow commissioners, I'll just talk for a minute about the Senate confirmations that Senator Weber mentioned last week. I was confirmed as appointed by the governor as a member of the board of DOGAMI, which is the Oregon Department of Geology and Mineral Industries, and Commissioner Scar was appointed by the governor to the board of the Department of Lands and Land Conservation and Development, DLCD. And so we went through the process we went to a Senate confirmation hearing and made a little very brief presentation, and they recommended our appointment. We were appointed. And yesterday I sat in my first DOGAMI board meeting. It was lengthy. Our meetings are generally, our county board meetings are generally a couple of hours, but the DOGAMI board meets quarterly, and their meetings are the better part of a day. And it was fascinating. I was so glad to be there. I learned so much in one board meeting, my very first day, about science. And I love science. I'm fascinated by science and geology. And so it's just the right place for me to be. So, for instance, yesterday we had what was practically college level class on geothermal. I say that because the person who presented the information to us is a college professor, and so I learned so much about geothermal energy and the possibilities in Oregon for geothermal energy as a clean, renewable source of energy, meaning just the heat from deep in the earth. And it was remarkable. It was truly eye-opening about the possibilities of renewable, clean energy source that's readily available. It's accessible and is happening at a greater rate in other places, but also beginning to happen here. So that was very exciting. And I also learned about carbon sequestration, about interesting proposals for carbon sequestration in basalt, in the rock, which was fascinating. So I'm super excited about the opportunity to learn more about Oregon geology and how that's playing out. And then those two things aren't specific to the coast, but rather the whole state. But DOGAMI does all kinds of work that is specific to the coast. So I'll enjoy updating you on that over time. So now I'm going to jump to the cities, beginning with the city of Manzanita.
This is Linda Kozlowski calling from Manzanita. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Linda. Yes, good morning.
Good morning. So I have a brief report from the city of Manzanita. We recently participated in the North Tillamook Water Coalition discussion called by Nate Stice, who is the governor's regional solutions. The primary focus was to see if we could develop or upgrade or update actually our regional water study, which is which discusses long-term water supply as its primary focus. We had a great conversation, asked a lot of questions, learned a lot about what the possibilities are, and it looks like we'll be moving forward with some further discussions about options. Lots of questions, not a lot of answers. So the next step is to look for funding for a study that we can more closely understand what our options are, what a regional approach would look like, and what the scope might be, which might be including the source protection, shared operational costs, and community engagement. So it's a long-term study, but very excited about participating. The City Council also approved the final city manager position description as we look for our next city manager. Lots of input from the council staff, and the final brochure is public and is published on our website. We really encourage people to look at it, and if there is anyone interested in that position, to look at what is required and to speak up if you're interested in the position. Job for our city staff to run without a city manager, and our staff is just doing a bang-up job. They are really doing a good job of keeping the city running and making sure we're meeting all of our expectations and moving forward. So I think we're in a really good position. Manzanita also met with the Nehalem Bay Emergency Preparedness Coalition, which includes the cities in the Nehalem Bay area, the fire districts, the health district, the county, and we hope to include the school district. It's led by Trish Johnson. We work together on a regional approach of preparedness, response, resilience in North County. We were just delighted at Commissioner Bell's appointment to Lokami. I think that bodes very well for the efforts in Tillamook County, and it's really an interesting job, and I'm delighted to hear Commissioner Bell is really pleased with that appointment. We have our Coffee with Council on Thursday, June the 25th from 10 to 11:30. This month is with Commissioners Spegman and Hart. It's held at the City Hall with coffees and goodies, and everyone is invited. And as always, there's usually good and robust discussion. So with that, that's my report from Manzanita.
Thank you so much, Linda. Thanks for being with us.
You're welcome.
Do we have anyone on the line? Do we have anyone on the line from Nehalem or Wheeler? How about Rockaway Beach and Mayor McNeely?
Good morning, Tillamook County.
Good morning.
So our planning department and commission are quite busy. They're reviewing updates on the flood hazard overlay zone and proposed amendments consistent with the Oregon Model Flood Hazard Ordinance. They also have a project to update residential development code and policy. These updates will ensure compliance with state housing laws, address permitting and land use barriers, and support housing production, affordability, and choice. And then thirdly, along with several cities, we're partnering with Tillamook County Department of Community Development to implement the second phase of SB 406, also known as Middle Housing. Our city is partnering with 3J Consulting to prepare three components of the Oregon Housing Needs Analysis: contextualized housing needs, a buildable lands inventory, and a development-ready lands inventory. Many of you on this call may have received colorful shopping bags when shopping in Rockaway Beach that promote our community. The city provides these bags at no charge to the merchants. Senate Bill 551 has upended our program to provide shopping bags to our shops in Rockaway Beach. The bill requires that bags are fabric or woven materials, so we'll need to find a new source for our bags and adjust the kinds of graphics we can put on the bags. But more challenging is that stores are restricted to only giving the bags away for free 12 days a year, and every other day they must charge 5 cents for the bag per bag. And I certainly understand the underlying drive for this bill, but it really does throw a monkey wrench in the city's interest in promoting using tourist dollars, tourist lodging tax dollars to promote our city by providing our merchants with free bags that they can use and reduce the cost to their business. I'm working to keep the shopping bag program alive, but it will be a challenge. And then Thursday is our coffee with the mayor and city manager. It's in the second floor conference room of City Hall at 9 a.m. I welcome all. It's a great opportunity to share with City Manager Shepherd and myself what's on your mind and answer questions. So look forward to seeing you all there. With that, back to you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor. I indeed have received a couple of Rockaway Beach shopping bags while I was shopping in Rockaway, and I think it's a wonderful program. The bags are reusable, they're charming, they promote Rockaway. It's, as you said, saves the merchants money. I think it's a great program. I hope you can sustain it.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone on from the city of Garibaldi? How about Bay City?
Good morning. This is Mayor Leanne Welch, and our city staff has been working really hard and aggressively going after grants, and now it's construction season. So if you're driving through Bay City, you're going to see the seismic upgrade to our fire department. This is through a grant from the Oregon State Fire Marshal. Even though the voters approved a new district, the building itself is still property of Bay City, and we're looking to lease it to the new district for about $1 a year. You're also going to see our playground is under construction. We received a grant from Oregon State Parks, the county TLT, and Bay City TLT for new playground equipment. So that's currently under construction. And we also received partially forgivable grants loans from Business Oregon for a new water reservoir and a new water transmission line or replacement. And those are all grant funded. Our campground is open. We have 4 RV with full hookups and a number of tents and also a hiker-biker area. And we've got the new showers and restrooms. So those are open, and we hope people continue to visit us here in Bay City. And then also the last thing is that we have coffee with the mayor and city manager next Tuesday, June 30th at 9:30 at City Hall. So again, just similar to Rockaway Beach, please come and share your views and ask questions, and we're there to provide answers. And that's my report for today. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I understand that Sean Lewis from the city of Tillamook is not with us this morning, so that's a wrap. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Thanks, as always, to KTIL for broadcasting. And this meeting is adjourned at 9:03 a.m. Have a great day, everyone.